Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event.
Oh, yeah!
Are you ready?
And now, coming live from Wrestling-News.net and presented by Spreaker, it's Main Event Madness. Madness Unleashed. You can call into the show by calling 305-600-4708 and tweet us during the show using the hashtag MEM Radio Live. And with that, here are your hosts for tonight, John Curry and Mark Madison. Finally, we are back. Main Event Madness Radio is live. We're back home where we first started, Wrestling-News.net. How are you guys all doing out there? Happy Wednesday. I don't know really what there is happy aside from maybe a happy hump day. Hope you guys are having a great Wednesday. Thank you for taking time out of your nights to tune in and hang out with us for the next little while. It's been a while. It was the longest layoff that we ever had since we started the show back February of 2014. But we're back. We're retooled. We're refreshed. We're ready to go. I said this on the Hell in a Cell show, and Al's no longer in the driver's seat. That's why you guys unfortunately have to listen to my voice. I'm sorry in advance. But that's okay. The show must go on. Thank you to Al. But with that said, we got with us a man who is very well-spoken and a man who's got an immensely vast knowledge of pro wrestling, but we're popping this podcasting cherry tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my new partner in crime, Mr. Mark Madison. Sir, welcome officially to Main Event Madness Radio. How are you, man?
I'm feeling amazing. And as I say that, I've got to clear my throat, too. I got a chill in my spine as you pump my tires and introduce me. It feels really great to be here. Real pleasure to be with you, John. And I'm hoping that we can make Main Event Madness even bigger and better than it was before.
Absolutely, man. We're excited to have you on here, man. And we're gonna bring this show to heights never even thought of before. Yeah, it's a new beginning, and I don't know. I to be honest with you, I lost a little bit of that. That fire over the course of the last 2 months not having a show. But you know what? As time got closer to the return, I was getting giddy. I was getting excited. We had our little dry run last week. Our Hell in a Cell pregame show, which by the way you guys can check out at Spreaker.com. But you know what? We're back. We're digging our feet into this. We're ready to go. But before we get into this little shindig that we call Main Event Madness, Mark, introduce yourself to the people out there. Let them know who is Mark Madison, and just give them a little bit of insight onto who you are.
Well, as anybody that might have maybe come across me online or read any of my work in the past, I write regular wrestling columns. I've been pretty fortunate over the last year to interview a lot of different talent, whether they're former WWE stars or talent that's been with TNA or Ring of Honor, or guys that are on the independents, plus writing a lot. It's one of my passions. It's something I care a lot about. I'm not right. I just hope that I have an opinion that people would enjoy reading about and hearing about, and I've been a fan since I was 8 years old, and I'm 39 now, and I'm not afraid to say that if I'm completely off my rocker and losing it and appreciate some of the older school with some of the newer school, I think that's what I hope to bring this to, and I'm looking forward to interacting with everybody that really wants to talk new school, old school wrestling, and everywhere in between.
Absolutely, man. And you came up from in one era of wrestling. I dipped my feet a little bit in the '90s. Mostly became a wrestling fan back in '06. But it's that diversity that makes what we do awesome. And
Well,
what's that?
well, even like I threw out a couple of names of different wrestlers to you in the past, and you're like, I remember them kind of, sort of in passing, and that's just because it wasn't a time that you followed, and that's probably more age more than anything. But and that's cool because it's funny when people see certain wrestlers today, like, wow, man, but that gimmick that was happening like 20 years ago, and they did something else. And when people see Rusev and they were seeing this big brute that's anti-American, that's been done so many times. I mean, Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik. I'm really dating myself going back to WrestleMania 1, but that was done then, and it's always been that popular anti-American gimmick, but it comes around. Like, wrestling in a lot of ways is circular, so.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to talk to us about whatever you want in the world of pro wrestling or whatever you want, call us 305-600-4708. That's 305-600-4708. Or hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag MEM Radio Live. So, a couple different ways you guys can chat with us. We look forward to you guys picking our brains as we go on here the next little while on Main Event Madness. As I said, yes, we are on wrestling-news.net. That is our I guess you could say our home. That's one of our homes, I guess you could say. MainEventMadness.com is gone, unfortunately. It was a beautiful site. But for every downside, there's an upside. We have a new website just launched yesterday with a new episode of Work in Progress, which you guys can go check that out after we're done on the show. Or if you don't want to hear me, you go check them out now. I really shouldn't have said that, but
That's really not good. We don't want to discourage people right now.
But nonetheless, guys, the new site, if you guys want to check it out, I got a lot of stuff that I put up there. It's memnetwork.wix.com/home, because I didn't really understand why I had to put that /home part. It's a mouthful just to get to the .com part. But it's an awesome site. Tried to take some elements of the old website, put it in there. I got our complete archive, Work in Progress's archive, our old partner show, Wrestling's Rope Break is up there, as well as Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV, which, by the way, speaking of Evan Ginsberg, he will be on the show with us in about less than an hour, I guess is the best way to put it. We'll have an all-new edition of Ginsberg's Gab, so you guys are going to want to stick around for that. If you guys aren't familiar with the show, Evan Ginsberg is the associate producer of the Oscar-nominated film The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke. He hosts Legends TV and Legends Radio, which you guys can check out also, memnetwork.wix.com/home, or at legendstvnyc.com or madhousetv.com. It airs every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern. Now that the cheap plugs are out of the way, we got some stuff to get caught up on here, guys. It's been a while since I've been on this little shindig. Mark's ready to dive right in this. He's ready for me to stop rambling. It's time for some Rawsome moments. Mark, if you don't know what the Rawsome moments are, they're the top moments from Monday Night Raw of the week. And let's just dive right into these, man. Reigns and Seth Rollins. Before we even get into this, it's a little bit, I don't want to say late breaking, but it's just saw it a little while before we went on the air. Apparently, Seth Rollins may have been injured over in Ireland.
Oh, my.
Yeah, he's working a match with Kane, which, by the way to follow up a storyline when the guy's abducted and then, we throw him in house shows.
Well, yeah, I mean, they captured his soul, but that's actually just his body competing. So, there's no... He's a shell of a person that's actually out there competing in Ireland.
Well, they said they abducted Demon Kane, so does that mean he's facing Corporate Kane? Oh, no, because Corporate Kane got fired. So, very lackluster follow-up to that, too.
Wouldn't you have said it was Joseph Parks, actually, during the Hell in a Cell?
Well, I thought that they abducted Abyss, but I wasn't sure.
No.
Yeah, we trying to. That was a storyline that nobody wanted to remember, and then WWE does their own version of it, and you have to remember it. But so
what's the severity of the injury?
It was, I believe, a leg injury. I saw. Give me 1 second because it was blowing up. What?
See, that's the thing with Rollins. He's such a reliable worker too, and he's been crazy amount of bumps, right? So eventually, and it's just the timing of it. With Survivor Series coming up, they can't afford an injury to him.
No, and I mean he's easily had like the most. I think they said it was the most matches of anybody so far this year. Which I don't know. Which in saying that, I hate looking at Facebook and seeing everybody bashing. Oh, it's a horrible run. It's a horrible run. It's really not. No,
I don't see that either.
But they said, and this is from WrestlingNewsSource.com. Shout out to Ben Karen. Thank you, sir. WWE World Heavyweight Champion Seth Rollins may have injured his knee during a no-holds-barred match against Kane in Dublin, Ireland. He landed awkwardly after trying to set up a somersault flip into a powerbomb. He had to be helped to the back by trainers. And an update, WWE source noted the backstage talk at the live event is that Rollins tweaked his knee, and all it will require is to be taped up for a period. But he'll have his leg evaluated by medical staff to assess the severity. So
I mean, going into Survivor Series, you know that they're gonna really pardon the pun, walk gingerly with him going into any match, and really telling him to tone it down because that's the money match, that's the main event. So, how long is this tour?
How long is the tour?
Yeah.
I think it's that week and a half, 2 week thing or something, because I think they got Raw in London, I think, this week.
Oh, okay.
So they'll be back. Yeah, I think it's about a week and a half because they'll have the Raw go home show. So, but and let's be honest, this is the worst time of year for them to do a European tour.
Right.
Because they're taped. And the ratings always go down for that. And I mean, I don't know. I'm not excited for a SmackDown Raw, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this Rollins and Reigns feud here for a minute. Does it lack a little bit of a punch? Because it kind of just seems like it was forced, thrown together. It doesn't really seem like there's any intensity behind it. Or do you think it's too early?
Yeah, no, I think it's just that. It's just kind of like we need to find somebody that's going to be the main opposition. Reigns has come off. He really I enjoyed that Wyatt Reigns feud. It was a great build. It helped both characters. But really, where else was Reigns to go but here? Really, I mean, is there another in between feud to lead to that point? Who was Rollins going to compete against? Were they going to put him again against Ambrose, or was there something that was permeate? I don't know. I mean, it made the most sense to book him and have him face both being Rollins and Reigns face each other. But yeah, it was just kind of there. They had a 4-way, and who was going to rise to the top? It was almost obvious. You could kind of pick who was going to be the person that stood out in that 4-way match. So I don't know.
And I mean, realistically, when you look at the Raw roster right now, or the WWE roster, there really wasn't anybody really left besides Roman Reigns that could put on a credible feud. I mean, Reigns came off a win at Hell in a Cell. He's the only big babyface left. I mean, what logically would you use to explain why Ambrose gets another title shot, or why Ziggler, who's getting beaten up by Tyler Breeze or Rusev every week, why he would deserve a title shot, and why Cesaro, who's been obscure for the last month and a half, why he would get a title shot?
Yeah.
But I do think... Oh, go ahead.
Well, regardless of the match itself, I can't see Reigns winning it. I've got a whole I still will say that his WrestleMania moment will be winning it next year. And I think that's something that a lot of people have seen. There's nothing that leads me to believe that Rollins won't walk away still as champion. How he does it, I don't see Reigns winning it. I can say that now, and it doesn't matter how much back and forth there'll be. Unless there's something special, like last year's was special. When Sting walked out, it was monumentous. I mean, the kid in me was just freaking out. My kids around me are like, what's the big deal? I don't, like, this guy's wearing white and black makeup. I'm like, don't understand, that's Sting. So nothing tops that. So when you compare it, I can't see that happening. My opinion of it is Ron still walks away champion. How he does it again.
Something bottom-handed or something.
Yeah, something.
In saying that, you'd probably really hate me.
No, well,
I was at WrestleMania. One of us has
to be the heel, right?
I was at WrestleMania.
Sorry?
I was at WrestleMania, and when Sting was making his entrance, I was in line. Because I figured after the IC title match, and then Orton and Rollins, I'm like, alright, it's probably the Divas next. I don't think they want to go to another big match yet. So, I was like, alright, they had this app for the Levi Stadium. So I ordered my food, I'm like, alright, let me go get up there. And I was like, the second time I used the apps, and the first time, nobody knew about it, so nobody did anything. The second time, the line was longer than hell. And I'm sitting here, I'm waiting in line, just get up there, I just get my stuff. The drums start, I'm like, wait, what the hell? And then I look up, I'm like, son of a bitch, they're doing Sting and Triple H.
Yeah.
Booked it to my seat, just made it, right towards the end of Triple H's entrance. I didn't get to see Sting's entrance. I didn't get to see Triple H's entrance. I have since gone back and watched them. But, yeah. And I was, speaking of WrestleMania, I was looking at trying to go again.
Yeah.
Tickets are already almost sold out.
It's nuts. And that's in Dallas, right?
Yeah, 100,000 person stadium. Nuts. But anyway.
What's your take on the Rollins Reigns?
I feel like it's almost lackluster, but it's fresh at the same time because it's a dynamic that they stayed away from as long as they possibly could. The Shield broke up, almost a year and a half ago now, and in that time, Reigns and Rollins really didn't have much interaction with each other.
Nope.
So from that perspective, there's a lot of story behind it. How does Reigns truly feel towards Seth Rollins? Does he share the hate that Dean Ambrose does? And I had another point. I just lost it. I'm sorry. But go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I was if you didn't have your thought. I was just hoping to buy you time. It was really eerie moment where it's just Reigns, Ambrose, and Rollins outside, and he has a chair, and he strikes Reigns in the back. And it was just like, I flashed back to that moment when the initial betrayal took place, and it was like, that's what it brought me back to. That particular chair shot to the back while they were outside in the ring, and that was the moment like, oh, okay, this is the reason initially why you dislike me. I'm going to do it again.
Yep.
This is why it never worked. This is why unless they're going to go with the whole angle of, I'm the whole reason that, I'm the more successful one. I was the one that had to carry you. I mean, unless they're going to really try to play that, it's exhausted.
Yeah.
It really is. So.
Now, do you think, and we got to take a commercial break here. We got an interview coming up in a couple of minutes, guys. Do you think that Ambrose is going to turn?
About that?
What's that?
I'm excited about that too, by the way. The interview coming up.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. Sorry, you're saying
Do you think, or do you buy into the hype that this could be the moment that Ambrose finally turns?
Yes, this is like where everyone's. It's like they can see it a mile away.
They teased it hardcore on Monday. They teased it hardcore. Yeah,
just it's the most anticipated, unanticipated moment that you want to see have happen. But again, if it does happen, that's unfortunately for Reigns. It puts, I think, in fans, he's a step behind. Yep. How many fans cheered for Bray Wyatt beating down on Roman Reigns? The moment Dean Ambrose does it, they're gonna go crazy again.
It's gonna backfire. It's going to be a major backfire because their thoughts are, well, we need a dark personal story like Reigns versus Ambrose to get him over and get him up to the point he needs to be for WrestleMania. No. Turn Ambrose heel all you want. That Ambrose is going to explode as a babyface when he turns it back.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, Reigns is going to be almost an afterthought. But,
yeah.
Although I
have to watch that line.
I don't know if it's going to be a red herring or what it is, but it kind of seems like they got a little feud going now between Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
Although they even kind of teased a babyface turn for Kevin Owens.
They did. You owe me one, kind of.
Yeah.
See what happens there.
And then how he was in the ring. Although a couple buddies of mine, actually it was Matt, who you guys can check out on Work in Progress, said that he feels like that, and I agree with him, that Kevin Owens should be like the one heel that never turns face. Like a Roddy Piper-esque, that the only reason you cheer him is because after so long of being a jackass, that you can't help but love the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. There's a couple other points I wanted to hit here, but actually, really quick, I just want to mention to you the biggest thing, and this is the first time I've watched Raw in a few weeks because I'm usually working Mondays. How fresh does it feel though? As almost lackluster as the roster feels without Cena and Orton, how fresh does it feel?
It does. It's like a new beginning.
Yeah, and it's like your main events are the Shield and Kevin Owens. Like, these are guys that weren't even on the roster 3 years ago.
No.
And here they are, they're main eventing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an awesome sight. You know, considering around, or not too long before that point, your main events every week were John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H, Batista.
Yeah.
But what were you going to say?
No, these are the internet darlings. I mean, how many people love to see the Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins, and, you know, Dean Ambrose. These guys were all part of, you know, people knew about them. They were like that indie band that was really popular, but you were afraid you wanted to keep it to yourself. But then they became really big.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can only contain that kind of quality and skill and not have them, now that they're on a main stage, God, man, and people be jumping up and down to want to see them, and we're all lucky to see it, really. This is a great age for us.
Are you missing Daniel Bryan in this?
You know what, as I'm saying that, I see this bushy bearded man, this long hair from Seattle, and no, it's not Pearl Jam, but you know, it's Daniel Bryan, and I'm wishing that he was in a better condition. And I guess the way he competes, it just a wear down in his body. I'm hoping that he makes it back.
You know what I think it's going to be? Before we head to commercial, you know what I think they're going to do this year?
What?
Because it's 2 years in a row, fans got pissed off beyond belief because of Daniel Bryan not in the Royal Rumble. I think I don't know. They're going to probably do some storyline that he doesn't go to WrestleMania, kind of like John Cena in 08.
Yeah.
I could see him coming out number 30 and winning the damn thing.
Yeah.
As a way to make it up to him and make it up to the fans and be like, you wanted your moment with Daniel Bryan, here it is.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, guys, we're going to take a little commercial break here. This is Main Event Madness Radio. We are live streaming on wrestling-news.net. We are home where this began. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we got James Key of Smash Wrestling. It's going to be an awesome interview. Mr. Mark Madison is taking the reins of that one, I do believe. So,
please jump on board, though, John.
Absolutely.
This is...
And we're going to... You guys are not going to want to miss this. It's a new beginning. It's a new era, I guess you could say, for Main Event Madness Radio. Madness Unleashed. And I know that one's bleeding cheese for you. You still haven't drank. You're still not drinking the Kool-Aid of that slogan. We'll get you to one way or another. But Main Event Madness Radio, and also coming up in about a half an hour from now, Evan Ginsberg with an all-new edition of Ginsberg's Gab. You guys are not going to want to miss this. Main Event Madness Radio. We are live, November 4th edition of the broadcast. James Key of Smash Wrestling coming up in just a couple minutes. From the associate producer of The Wrestler, and in the tradition of Joe Franklin and Ed Sullivan variety talk shows, Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV features an eclectic mix of legendary million-selling musicians, indie artists deserving greater exposure, and colorful pro wrestlers. Co-hosted by Steve Ludwig of Classic Pop Culture Radio, the show airs live every Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern at MadhouseTV.com and LegendsTVNYC.com. Martha Wash, Crown Heights Affair, Lanny Poffo, Nicole Bass, and other legends have joined us. You missed the birth of your mother and father. Don't you dare miss Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV. So you decided to check out Main Event Madness, and now you want to know how you can get the latest news about the show, the hosts, guests, showtimes, and more? Well, the answer's simple. Facebook. Head over to facebook.com/maineventmadness and be a part of the hundreds who have already liked the page and are the first to know everything you could ask about Main Event Madness. Facebook.com/maineventmadness, the official Facebook page for Main Event Madness Radio. Life's about working. Life's about progress. Why not put them together? Well, we did. Working Progress is here, the Fans View podcast. Matt Brees and Mike Rooker take the latest news and rumors in the world of pro wrestling and added some NFL and more, and add a fantasy spin to it, and you get Working Progress every month, only on MEMnetwork.wix.com/home. From the ashes of our old website comes a fresh new face from Main Event Madness. MEM Network is here. Check out all of your favorite episodes of Main Event Madness, Working Progress, Wrestling's Rope Break, and Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV. More shows to be announced in the future, but check out MEMnetwork.wix.com/home, where the madness runs wild. Alright guys, we are back, Main Event Madness Radio live, November 4th edition of the broadcast. We are once again happy to bring on Mark Madison, my new co-host, and if you guys missed anything at the top of the show, wrestling-news.net, live streams got you covered, also Spreaker.com. At this time, we're going to bring on Mr. James Key of Smash Wrestling. How are you, sir?
Busy, but doing okay. Happy to be here with you guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing fantastic, man. And busy's always good. Well, for the most part, at least.
Yeah.
But we're happy to have you on here, man. It's our first show, as I was saying to you, off the air in 2 months, and excited to have you on here and really hit or come out of the gates with a head of steam. And it's just awesome to have you on here. And I don't know, I'm just a little too overexcited, I guess you could say.
Right.
No,
Control that.
It'll be a good time.
So, I guess for anybody that's listening that's not familiar, James is the managing director of Smash Wrestling, and Smash is a small independent promotion. I was fortunate enough to come across James. We met face-to-face, oddly enough, over a burger, but had oddly interacted via Twitter, very sociable, very, he cares about the community, cares about really building up the promotion itself. But maybe, James, you could talk a little about the history of Smash and where you've seen it go and where it's been and where you see it going.
For sure. we started Smash Wrestling in 2012, right around this time, hence the third anniversary show that's coming up. And it was one person's idea and vision, and it grew. More people came on board, myself included, and we have a strong team of people who have really worked to build not just a show, but a brand and an identity that doesn't isn't just a Canadian promotion now. It's really an internationally experienced thing. So we went from having 50 people, 60 people now to some shows have 400, 700 depending on the show. So it's been crazy, and it's been a crazy ride, and it's cool to see it grow and come to different levels every year. It's fantastic.
One of the great things in coming to a Smash show is just the interaction that fans will end up having the opportunity to connect with the talent that comes in. It's there, that form of interaction, that meet and greet, those opportunities. Do you think that's something that lends itself more to fans wanting to come out more regularly to a Smash show?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the best qualities about Smash Wrestling is that, for lack of a better term, I think it's so transparent. You know what I mean? Like, we really don't keep a ton away from people. I'm always around. You can come talk to me at any time during a show. Our producer's always buzzing around. Alan, you can go talk to him during a show. Well, not during, but I mean when there's times he's not producing it. The talent is very approachable. The merchandise tables. I mean, countless times Chris Hero is bombarded with people, and he makes time for each and every one of them. I mean, that's you want to do that when you're at a Smash Wrestling show, because the fans are so awesome, and it's such a community that you can't build that separation that sometimes other things have, right? So and you don't want to have that separation either. It's much more enjoyable when it's like Cheers, everybody knows your name, so
Yeah. For fans that would go to a Smash show, one of the things that's great about the show itself is not just the talent that they bring in, but the homegrown talent that tends to come out there, is an active part of the roster and is just as committed to making the show effective month after month, show after show, and really you're expanding your options. Who would, if anybody were to look out and say in Smash it becomes home and talent that they can look forward to seeing, who would you recommend to keep an eye out
on? Who would I recommend to kind of keep an eye out on?
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, we just released. Actually, two people I would really keep my eye on. Courtney Rush, for sure. Mm-hmm. She's a veteran, but I think she's really hit her stride here in Smash Wrestling, and kind of has really caught on to something special. And that's all not, it's a credit to how hard she's worked and how committed she is to really being entertaining. And, she does a lot of work with us, and that's awesome. We've been able to do some pretty crazy and special things. And the other person I would keep an eye on actually is Kevin Bennett. I think Kevin Bennett is going to be a massive star for us in the coming year. So, actually, we just released a video on him on our social media, so check that out if you get a chance, because he's going to be something special.
Good. Looking forward to it. But in doing all of this, we're leading to something that's pretty special. Something called third anniversary. It's This is Smash. It's third anniversary. Tell us about this show that will be taking place this coming week.
Yeah, Saturday, 8 o'clock at Franklin Horner Community Center in Toronto is our third anniversary show, and it's literally people say people toss around the term stacked and whatever. I'm not even going to say stacked. I think it's something special because it really has a little bit of everything to kind of entertain you. So if you're into hard hitting, uh, physical encounters, then Super Smash Brothers versus Tabernacle Team TDT is going to be right up your alley. If you're into high flying, exciting action, Kevin Bennett versus Scotty O'Shea is exactly what you're looking for. If you're into technical, insane, back and forth, I mean, Pentagon Jr. versus Drago, two AAA and Lucha Underground stars are coming here from Mexico, and I mean, even Mark Andrews, who's one of the stars of PWG's Bola this year, a star in TNA, was part of their world title series, and a Progress Wrestling star, like to fly over from the UK for this show and literally fly back Monday morning so he can go on tour with his band Junior. Phenomenal that he's doing this for our anniversary. So, I mean, there's just so much on the show to be excited about that. I mean, I'm even excited. I'm speechless. I'm excited.
Fantastic. Show is taking place at 8 o'clock, Franklin Horner. I'm going to be fortunate enough to be there. I'm really looking forward to it myself. There's going to be a group of us going and watching the show. We know that what we're getting when we see a Smash show. I was fortunate enough to go to the Canada versus USA event that took place a couple months back. When we talk about supporting women's wrestling, Smash is also at the forefront of doing that. Maybe you can talk about how the women's talent is, as you mentioned, Courtney Rush. Her character, her skill, really it's reaching new peaks, new levels. How is giving divas a chance, or just that hashtag, but giving women's wrestling a chance become so important to Smash as well?
Well, I mean, to steal a line from our new Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, it's 2015. So I think, you have to understand that, these perceptions that it's a lesser product or a lesser division or whatever, you have to get over that because it's really not. I mean, I'm not lying to people when people ask me what my favorite match of the year is. I say Will Ospreay versus Mark Andrews from Bola, or Courtney Rush and Jessica Havoc from Canusa, because it really is one of my favorite matches of the year. That's how good it was. They're fantastic at telling stories. They're excellent at connecting with the crowd, and I mean, we saw an opportunity with all the talent, especially in Ontario, that we have access to. Like, it's a no-brainer. I mean, between Courtney Rush, Vanessa Craven, Casey Spinelli, Zandra Bale, Jules Malone, like, there's so many talented women, and even, south of the border that's somewhat close by. I mean, Heidi Lovelace, Allison Kay, Candice LeRae, Jennifer Blake. There's so many, like, I'm naming names on and on because that's how deep the talent pool is. And, we felt it was important to not just include them, but feature them and give them their own platform to perform and succeed. And they've over and above exceeded our expectations in that.
John?
You mentioned a Canada versus US series. Have you guys ever done shows in the States or in New York? Because I live in Western New York, and I got to tell you, we have a show coming up here in a couple days. That's the first wrestling show that's been in this area. I mean, Raw or in SmackDown, they come up twice a year, but it's Buffalo, Albany. But this part in New York, we probably get it maybe once every 5 years. It's been about 5 years.
So where are you at?
I'm about a half hour west of Syracuse, New York.
Okay, yeah. It's something we. I'm not to be quite honest with you, it's something that we're always kind of mulling over, and how do we accomplish that logistically? And there's a lot of things and a lot of factors that go into pulling something like that off. There's a lot of red tape that you have to kind of pay attention to, and there's a lot of there's hurdles. Like, how do you we don't live there. How do we ensure that the show is getting marketed correctly? How do we ensure that
Right.
things are in place, like venues and things like that? There's a lot that goes into it that it's hard when you're not connected, you're not close.
Right.
So, but I mean, hey, it's something we're always, those hurdles aren't things we're adverse to overcoming. So it's just a matter. To me, I think it's a matter of a when, not an if. And it'll be a really special day when we get a chance to do that.
Awesome stuff, and I'll tell you, I'll be one of the first ones to buy some tickets if you guys do. That's for sure.
Thanks, man.
And of course, if you guys do get shows up here, anything we can do with the show or anything like that I could help promote it, don't hesitate to hit me up.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Not a problem, man.
So again, the show taking place this week, Saturday, November 7th, 8 p.m. start time. There is, I believe, a meet and greet as well taking place. VIP tickets for the show have been sold out.
Oh yeah, they were sold out a long time ago. All 3 rows.
And general
gone.
admission is gone now too.
No, general admission is still available.
Okay.
So yeah, make sure. I always recommend pre-selling. As some shows have seen, it gets difficult at doors to get tickets. We try our best never to turn anyone away, but we can never guarantee chairs or seating. So, we have had standing room only on more than one occasion. So, if you're a fan of sitting down for 3 hours, make sure you grab your ticket early.
Will do. Thank you again, James, for your time. Really looking forward to the show, and we definitely look forward to having you on again.
Absolutely.
Awesome, man. I thank you very much for having me on, and down to do this whenever you guys want.
Take care.
Thank you, James.
Thank you.
That was Managing Director James Key of Smash Wrestling. It was great having him on. Just the development itself, they've had Talent John come in. Young Bucks have been there. Chris Hero has been there. Before he was Kevin Owens, it was Kevin Steen.
Yep.
So important. The thing is that they have local support, whether it's some sponsorship that may come in and help them, but they're always invested in making the best product available, which is what's so great about going to watching these shows is you're getting you're getting it weaved with homegrown talent, and you get a chance to see stars that you would normally see on TV, and it's affordable. I mean, you can basically catch, and I really would have anybody that's going out there to watch any wrestling support indie wrestling itself, because if there is going to be a show that comes to upstate New York, you really want to be able to go and see it. And I'm pretty fortunate. I'm taking advantage of this, and I look forward to the show too.
Yeah,
I'll be sure to share it next week with you.
Absolutely. I was just going to say I expect a full detailed report, sir.
Well done.
But, it's unfortunate too, and, I'm glad to hear him speak optimistically that it could happen sometime down the road, or he practically said it would happen sometime down the road. Because there's another, we have, are you familiar with Northeast Wrestling?
It sounds familiar.
They're based out of the Hudson Valley, New York.
Okay.
We got them coming up to Auburn, where I live. That's the show on Friday.
Okay.
And there's another company around here called 2CW Squared Circle Wrestling.
Right.
And they're having actually their last show next month. So that's one less outlet and one less opportunity for us to get wrestling up here. Because, they go through Syracuse all the time. But Auburn,
Right.
There's a bunch of towns west, south of Syracuse that don't, I guess you could say they're kind of suburbs, but they're not based on the distance. But we don't get as much wrestling as we would like, and the fact that the NEW tickets went on sale, and when they were on sale on Monday, by Tuesday or Wednesday, they were sold out. The at least the first row tickets were already sold out, and most of the second row were gone, and a majority of the $10 tickets were gone also. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's Auburn's a small town, maybe 30,000 if we're lucky, but There's a lot of wrestling fans up here, man. But good to see Smash Wrestling's on the up and up, and I am looking forward to seeing a show. Maybe I'll just have to take a swing out to Canada sometime.
You know what, John?
I got my enhanced license.
We definitely, well, we definitely will make some room for it if you want to come and crash at our place. Anyway, you're more than welcome to. And they've got, right now, bigger. There's the champion itself of Smash is somebody fans will be familiar with that are watching NXT, and that's Johnny Gargano, who they'll watch with Tommaso Ciampa competing, but he's the Smash Wrestling champion, so you would have a chance to see somebody that is part of a prominent promotion competing regularly.
And get to do something a little bit different because they're not constrained by the WWE's restrictions and
exactly, which is what makes it so great too. Mm-hmm. Is right they have those freedoms to take separate bookings and to do their own thing, and yeah,
that was and to go back to when we were talking about or when I was talking about when I was at WrestleMania, I almost went to go see Ring of Honor. And it was the worst thing because Ring of Honor does shows in whatever city that WrestleMania is in every year, and we were humming and hawing. It was probably like a 30-minute drive from where we were staying to go to the Ring of Honor show. We were humming and hawing, and then I think it was the day we flew out there, or the next day they announced they were doing an NXT show. And I was like. And we were at this one place. It was the Blue Chip Bar, I think it was called, in San Jose.
Right.
Freaking awesome place. And yes, I'm doing a cheap, shameless plug. Awesome place. And we're sitting there. We actually did some live broadcasts with some fans there, and me and Matt did. And they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys going to NXT?" Like, wait, there's an NXT show tonight? We're still debating Ring of Honor. No, NXT. And it was 2 blocks down. So it's like, do we want to just walk 2 blocks, or do we want to drive a half hour to go to Ring of Honor? And actually, the guy who heads up Wrestling's Rope Break, Joel O'Brien, that crazy son of a bitch, and extreme emphasis on crazy. Right. Love the guy. He went to the Ring of Honor show, left halfway through it to come back to San Jose to go to Ring of Honor, or to NXT.
That's dedicated.
Yeah. I never saw somebody drop $700 in the span of 30 seconds. A guy bought an NXT title belt and a Money in the Bank briefcase in the span of 30 seconds.
Wow.
But
well, when I had mentioned that I first ran into James Smash, was honestly, you mentioned Ring of Honor, was at the Ring of Honor show that took place here, because it was around that same week. They had War of the Worlds, which ran in Philadelphia for 2 nights, and then they had Global Wars, which ran on a Friday and a Saturday here. The Friday was the pay-per-view, the Saturday was the taping, although I thought they would have done it the other way around, but no. The bigger show was the Friday show. So, the show that they put on here fits maybe 1,000 people.
Oh, wow.
We say maybe 1,000. It's a hockey arena, so it might even be less than that because you're confined by boards and how you can get in there.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that same venue, Tommy Dreamer's House of Hardcore came into as well. So, if you advertise, if you promote it, even something as small as a community center, you'll get a great turnout. People want to see good wrestling. They don't want to be confined or restricted, and they want to be able to see guys compete. And just like you would have had that opportunity watching that with NXT or Ring of Honor, I think those options are still going to be out there. And definitely have James on again. And
Absolutely.
We'll look forward to maybe having some more of the talent from Smash come and speak their mind as well.
And it was the NXT show was kind of funny because it was kind of similar to an indie show because nobody knew about it till like a couple days beforehand, and that's not really the part I was trying to get at there. I wasn't trying to say anything bad about indie shows or anything like that. But we didn't know A, who we were going to get. B, we didn't know how long it was going to be. And the only thing we kind of knew was maybe an hour and a half. And it went 3 hours.
Wow.
I felt so bad, and I was just talking about this the other day. because the vaudevillains. The show started at like 9. No, it was 10 o'clock. It was 10 o'clock at night, West Coast time. It started, and the show didn't get out until like 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
And the vaudevillains were on at probably 11:30, 12 o'clock, and we're at Access the next morning. We were there at the 8 a.m. session for Access, and we're out there wrestling.
Wow.
I felt so bad for them. Like, man, what did you do? Go sleep for a half an hour? And then you had to go from the hotel to Access, stretch, train, or not train, but stretch, just get everything ready for your match. And it's just... And we actually saw the last WWE match of CJ Parker. Little random fact.
Oh. Wow.
But absolutely, anybody in the area, please check out Smash Wrestling. You'd probably be able to do a much better little commercial there than I was. But
no, that was great. That was great. There's not a lot more that we could say about that. There are some other indie shows that are happening too that same weekend, but I'm not necessarily going to plug them yet, unless they're more than welcome to come onto the show, and we'll connect with anybody else at a different time. So, no free advertising.
But let's switch gears here a little bit.
Right up.
There's a little bit. We got Evan Ginsberg with Ginsberg's Gab coming in. Are you going to stick around for that, or are you going to bounce in a couple?
I'm going to stick around. I can't believe how the hour's just flown. Man. Like, where did it go? Where did it go?
Mostly into me talking, so I apologize. We didn't touch on this from the Rawson moments, but that's okay. And this is a storyline that really has my attention, more so than the main event, more so than the Divas Revolution, and I wanted to touch on that. And Cena and Orton, we'll touch on that next week.
Okay.
But the Wyatts and the Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah.
If one thing besides seeing literally like 37 commercials for WrestleMania tickets during Raw, if one thing is making me want to go buy tickets for it, it's this feud.
Do they even it out? Do they look to make this a 4-on-4? And if they do,
who do you put
for like Survivor Series? Are they looking to make this a 4-on-4?
I kind of got that feeling, but who would you put with them?
I know.
I kind of feel like, an easy one would be Finn Balor. He's kind of got that demonic, dark persona that would kind of fit in with The Undertaker and Kane a little bit.
Yeah.
But then, even at that, you're still looking 3-on-4. Easy fix would have been, if he wasn't hurt, Sting.
That
would have been
I
easy.
always thought about it being a Legends thing, and Sting would have made sense from that. I don't. That's tough, because you're looking at people that are shroud in being the past, and Kane represented that, and The Undertaker represented that, and Sting would have been a part of that. Yeah, that would have made sense if he wasn't injured. I knew they were talking about ideas of having Ambrose and Reigns, but they've clearly moved them away from that whole thing. Like, they've settled everything. They've moved on, right?
What about Daniel Bryan? They never really ended that Team Hell No partnership.
Yeah, but the thing was, there was always animosity between. Didn't Kane try to get to Brie Bella and Daniel Bryan and chase them down and try and rip them into the center of the ring? I don't know. There was animosity there, so how do they...
Hey, to be fair, Triple H was... Kane backed up Triple H a few Survivor Series ago. God, that was almost 10 years ago now. Kane was back in Triple H in that match and was on his side, and this was 5 or so years after Triple H was fornicating a mannequin in a Kane mask.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened. Brett and Sean hugged in a ring. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
But you got a good point. I'm just trying to sit here. I'm scratching my head trying to think. Who else is there?
Do they go out and try to bring like members of the Ministry of Darkness and maybe JBL becomes an acolyte again, and I don't know. I'm reaching, but reaching, and then they bring out Farouk, and I don't know.
They bring Vince McMahon back. You want
Yes,
your higher power? We have ours. It was me, Bray. It was me all along. And watches the ratings like a 0.5 after that.
Yeah. If they really wanted to get a laugh, they'd have Bo Dallas as part of it. Brother versus brother.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. These are really. Thank goodness we're not getting paid to come up with really quality ideas because they're really sucking.
You know who would actually be a decent fit if he was a free agent would be Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
I'd say Abyss, but no. I think that's all I can say to that is no.
No.
5-10 years ago, yes. Now, no.
The same could be said about Kane 5-10 years ago, but
you're not wrong.
Stranger things have happened again. So, do you want to get into a commercial?
Yeah, I was trying to scratch my head a little bit about that.
Okay. I'm drawing blanks myself. So.
Or do they just go handicap route?
They could just do that. But their show's severely outmanned, even 4-on-2.
These are the kind of storylines I wish we had more of. They're compelling. They got your attention. They have just the right amount of cheesiness and corniness with the... somebody asked on Facebook if that purple lightning was real.
Because it looked like CGI, or...
Yeah, they asked if it was real in the arena. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But like I was saying, it's a compelling story, and it's got your attention, and you don't know what's going to happen, and you can't even think what's going to happen. And that's what I miss for wrestling, and that's like the worst thing about like people like us, where we're talking about the spoilers and we're talking about the rumors, and there's no real surprises anymore.
No.
I mean, the last big surprise I remember was Cena in the Rumble. That was almost 10 years ago, too. Jesus, where the hell's time going? But, alright, guys. We are going to take a commercial break here. We're going to reset, and when we get back, Evan Ginsberg of Legends TV and Legends Radio is going to grace us with his lovely presence. Pardon the sickness, but he insisted on coming on for a little bit. He wants to talk a little bit. We had another topic. We can save that for next week. He wanted to talk a little bit about Undertaker and Brock Lesnar and the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. It's a very rare occasion here, Mark. Okay. He's actually not going to bash WWE.
He's not, okay.
He's not.
I don't think I've actually formally met Evan. I know of Evan. I know of what he's done, but I've never actually interacted with him. So this will be new too. Should I be?
Guys, like I said, commercial break here, and actually in a moment, Microsoft Edge has quite a few tweaks it needs to work out momentarily. But anyway, as I was saying, this is Main Event Madness Radio. We are live. It wouldn't be Main Event Madness Radio if we didn't have some kind of issue going on. If there wasn't some kind of technical issue. And there it is. It's back. Okay. But anyway, Main Event Madness Radio. This is our first show in 2 months. Mark Madison popping his podcasting cherry with me. I feel like we're kind of having a little bit of a moment. Getting a little emotional here. We're thankful for you guys taking time out of your Wednesday to hang out with us for a little bit. If you guys missed James Key Smash Wrestling, he will be available. You will be able to listen to him on our show. And you know what? Instead of the commercial break here, no, I got thrown off because the the Lord of Sickness himself. I tried to give him a nickname. You guys will be able to check out James Key's interview, Spreaker.com/show/Main Event Madness. So, the Wix website, in hindsight, really isn't as bad as that one. Or MEMnetwork.wix.com/home or wrestling-news.net. And speaking of MEMnetwork.wix.com/home, I really need to buy a domain name. You guys can check out, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV. Evan Ginsberg is the associate producer of the Oscar-nominated film The Wrestler, starring Mickey Rourke. He's a host of one of the most eclectic TV shows and radio shows that you will ever find. And extreme emphasis on the word eclectic. I mean, where else? And I'm going to take Evan's thunder from this, Mark. Where else? And yes, Mark or Evan, I know you're here. Where else can you get a porn star, a pro wrestler, an artist, and a rapper on one couch?
That's right. It's a big couch.
It's a very big... that couch looks incredibly comfortable. Now that I'm not going to Florida, I might have to take you up on that offer. Just to sit on that couch. Evan Ginsberg's couch.
We'd be honored to have you.
I appreciate that, sir. And... I got to get the formalities out of the way because I was just informed that you two have never formally met. So, Evan, this is Mark Madison, my co-host going forward here on Main Event Madness. And Mark Madison, this is Evan Ginsberg, one of the craziest SOBs you'll ever meet.
There you go. Mark Madison. That sounds like a stage name. Is that your real name?
Well...
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
Yeah. We'll keep it that way.
Okay. So,
but anyway, Evan, go ahead, Mark.
No, it's nice to meet you, Evan. I've heard lots of good things, and look forward to talking to you and getting your perspective. I know you've very well seasoned, so.
I've been watching pro wrestling since the Gotch Hackenschmidt days. I was a wee lad at the turn of the previous century, and I bring 117 years of watching pro wrestling experience to your show. So, anyway.
I started this by saying that this is a very rare occasion, Evan. You are actually not going to hate on WWE. Yes.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but let me just say this. The Brock Lesnar Undertaker main event at the last pay-per-view was absolutely tremendous, and everything that wrestling should be, where you have two great wrestlers, okay, in a convincing contest where it feels like it matters, putting on a tremendous performance where the audience cares. That's everything that's right about pro wrestling. That was on par with New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom, which was the best pay-per-view of the year, and it was just a pleasure to watch. The other side of the coin is I'm watching Raw on Monday night, and I'm a big fan of Kevin Owens. I'm a big fan of ROH, and a lot of the guys in WWE came out of ROH. So there's Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, both tremendous athletes, tremendous wrestlers. I know that's a curse word in WWE. And I'm watching this match, and next thing you know, here's a guy that has nothing to do with the match, and his valet, Tyler Breeze, walking down the aisle. Everybody's staring at the girl. Next thing you know, there's a lengthy commercial. Then you come back to the match. Then you come back to these guys sitting on the sidelines in a gimmick that's so stereotypical. The pretty boy, bleach blonde, vain heel has been done 10,000 times and better. And by the time you go back to the match and the screw job finish, you forget that you have two great athletes in there. It's totally lost in everything else. That's everything that's wrong with pro wrestling. WWE is pretty much schizophrenic. Every pay-per-view, you're going to have the great match, the very good match, the okay match, and the nightmarish match. And Raw is pretty much the same thing. And that's my 2 cents.
But Evan, do you think that maybe they feel that they want to try and cover a range of interests, a range of demographic of fans, because there are going to be those that really are going to rise to the real interesting, compelling stories, and there are going to be those that are just going to shake their heads at the bad, but there's going to be fans that are going to be like, no, they're going to eat this up because it's being really, really well spoon-fed to them. Do you think that that's where they feel like they have to try and be everything to everybody?
I keep hearing the ratings are down. I keep hearing that they're struggling. And when I see something like that where what could have been excellent match is absolutely wasted, I say the same thing all the time. They have one of the greatest talent rosters in the history of pro wrestling. I'm not critical of most of the wrestlers, but what they choose to do with them in a 3-hour TV program, sometimes even a bit longer, 3 hours and change, you could TiVo that and watch it in 20 minutes and really not miss much. It's...
You just blew up my spot for how I get caught up for each show. Thanks, Evan.
Yeah, do they try to be everything to everyone? Maybe, and that could be part of the problem, because you can't be. You can't be. Yeah. Have the courage of your convictions. Either make it a serious, contest like they did with Undertaker and Lesnar, where you could watch it almost like an MMA match, because these guys are belting each other. It is physical. You could put out a serious product like that, or go the other extreme and turn it into a complete kiddie show. And TNA never had the courage of their convictions. They always should have, from day one, gone with the X division and emphasized the smaller guys and done a totally different product than WWE instead of a cheap imitation of it. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys something. You're going to laugh, and I'm not kidding. Sometimes I'm watching TNA, and I'll start doing something at the computer, and I'll forget that I'm watching the show. That's how little emotional investment I have in that show. I forget that it's on, and I was watching it. Okay?
Wow.
It's like an hour later, I'm like, oh yeah, TNA was on, because, there's no emotional investment in what's going on there. I mean, Matt Hardy wins the title, and then for no reason whatsoever, he gives up the title. So how are you going to care about that title?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Some of the fun, I guess, in watching promotion or a show like Lucha Underground is they know that they're targeting a 14-plus audience. They know that they're going to be a little more risque with what they put out there, but they're sticking to that plan, right? They know that they're going to go into the science fiction realm a little bit. It's going to be a little bit kooky, but you're going to get great action, and you're going to get that lucha libre style for a modern audience, but they're sticking to it. They're sticking to their plan.
You're 100% right. Lucha Underground has a creative vision. They know exactly what they want to do. And, sometimes I could care less about some of the angles, but the wrestling's tremendous. So it's always worth watching. Ring of Honor, they come out and they just wrestle. They have angles here and there. They'll have interviews here and there, but basically you're getting an hour of wrestling. So ROH has their vision, but WWE, they just come off as confused and sometimes desperate. I mean, you're watching this thing, and it's like, what? I mean, you take guys, for example, Cesaro, Ziggler, who just squandered, wasted in like mid-card oblivion, and clearly these guys are better wrestlers than some of the guys they push. I mean, so what's the logic? What's the logic?
Yeah.
And it's, the worst part is if WWE, I think the biggest thing is that WWE is scared to go in one direction because they're going to lose sponsors, and they're scared in the other direction because they're going to lose what's left of their viewers. And I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, Evan, they need to go with their convictions, and they just need to pick one and go with it.
If you're clocking $200 million a year or whatever it is, why is there fear? You know, take some chances. You know, create art. Don't create crap. Create art. You know, same thing with the movie division. You know, they made maybe one quality film with Ed Harris and Randy Orton was the heel. I forget the name of it, and the others are all disposable action films for the most part. You know, have the courage of your convictions to create quality. You know, and let it find its audience. I mean, that's my take on it.
But it's funny, as a company, they're very concerned with image, and yet it's their identity that's not really. We're not really sure of what they're putting out. We know that we want to be interested. We want to care, but at times they just don't provide that reason to care, which is really unfortunate because there's so much talent at their disposal, and it makes a number of people just shake their head and say, why aren't they being better utilized? And that's the frustrating part and what turns people away and to look at other alternatives. Because if you're not going to utilize these guys, why am I wasting my time and my money to be entertained or not be entertained by something that could be out there? So,
a couple of years back, a buddy of mine gives me comps. I go to the Garden to see WWE. I hadn't been there in 14 years, okay? So it's Ziggler and Cena in a cage. Okay, I'm sitting there. There's like a sea of kitties, okay? Like you're at the circus of the Harlem Globetrotters, all right? So Ziggler comes out, and I'm watching this, and I'm going, this guy's likable. I have no reason to want to see this guy hurt. I have no reason to want to see him lose the match. I have no reason to care, okay? There's virtually nothing else on the show except Paulie doing a promo that's worth seeing. And the next morning you wake up and it's totally forgotten, like a mediocre 2-star movie. And, you know, it's like popcorn for the mind. And meanwhile, you have this unbelievable talent roster that's being wasted. And, you know, if their goal is just to sell mountains of junk, mountains of merchandise, then that's fine. But, you know, you can't have it both ways. You really can't have it both ways because, you know, if the ratings are down, if people are fed up, you know, obviously this isn't what they want to be seeing. I mean, you know, they keep pushing these great young athletes like Kane and the Big Show and Mark Henry, who have all been there since like the late 1950s. You know, and meanwhile you got guys in NXT who have been there literally for years. People don't even realize they've been there for years. You know, in oblivion. You know, getting paid chump change. It's like, why not revolve the promotion around Finn Balor and Neville and Kevin Owens and all? You know, what is the fear? It's a money machine, WWE. Take some chances.
I think
they took a great risk on Daniel Bryan, and that paid off. I mean,
but it scared him at the same time because now, like,
there was money to be made with him. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I think his injury just scared him away from it, and now Vince goes back to what Vince does best and push big guys and push guys that the fans don't necessarily want to see. Meanwhile, guys like Cesaro, Dean Ambrose, Kevin Owens, until recently, they're just there. Like, I remember reading something about Ambrose turning heel. It's like, well, they're going to turn him heel because they don't know what to do with him. Put the damn belt on him.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm watching the Survivor Series style match the other night on Raw. Okay, and
Awesome match.
I like most of those guys. You know, they're quality wrestlers, but all you need are ears. If you've never seen wrestling once your whole life, you would say, hey, the fans like Ambrose more than Reigns. It's clear as day. And I don't have a problem with Reigns. I mean, you know, he does the same 5 moves, but so what? He's entertaining. He gives 110%. I don't have a problem with him. But clearly, the fans react better to Ambrose. Okay? So it's like a control freak kind of thing. We're going to give these fans what we want to give them as opposed to what they want for the most part. And clearly, they want Ambrose more than Reigns. And you know, why not just listen? Listen. Yeah.
Almost that wasn't the case with Reigns a year ago. When he was in there facing Batista, everybody wanted Reigns. And the thing is, as soon as they're like, oh, okay, you want Reigns, we're going to give you Reigns, and now we don't want Reigns. Well, it's when they don't want it, that's when they want to give. It just seems really awkward because he was somebody fans were loving as part of the Shield, maybe because his promos were shorter, and maybe he was the strong, silent type, whereas now things were coming across as hokey with what he would say, and they're not buying it as much, and they're not buying this wounded warrior, and maybe they want an invincible, strong, dominant face that doesn't have to overcome odds, and just because they've seen that so much with John Cena that they need something different. So when it was, it could be just that. I don't know.
I think the fans saw that the corporate machine was shoving this guy down their throat, and I happen to like Reigns, and I'll tell you something. You know, I've seen the best of the best. You know, I grew up on the Midnight Express and the Rock and Roll Express and the Freebirds and the Road Warriors, and you know, live month after month after month, Tully and on, etc. So on.
You.
And the Shield were the greatest tag team WWE had since the Bulldogs. They were tremendous. I would have kept the Shield. You know, forget splitting them into pieces. I mean, together they were magic. Individually, they're flawed. Individually, together it was like the Freebirds. The Freebirds were a perfect combination because Gordy was the best wrestler of the three, and Hayes was the best talker with the most charisma, and Buddy Roberts, you know, this guy was the general. He was the veteran. He was the guy you'd think you could beat, but a lot of times you didn't. You know, it was the Freebirds were perfect, the Shield were perfect, and why mess with perfection?
And the Shield just had something about them that clicked.
It was magic.
And the best example of that, Evan, was a few weeks, or was it like 3 weeks ago on Raw? You had the main event was Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns versus the Wyatts.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And the crowd was mediocre at best. You know, Reigns, Ambrose staring down the Wyatts. And then Rollins, for a good 5-10 seconds, Rollins was like, all right, whatever, and walks up to the line with them, and the crowd went freaking ballistic. And it's just, and they started their "This is awesome" chant and everything, and it's just that recipe of those three guys. And I don't know if that's why I like the main event right now, even though I feel it's lackluster, but it's fresh. That's the thing that I like the most about it. But I do agree, and, you know, we had to listen to Al say it 100 million times, that the Shield shouldn't have been broken up, at least not yet.
They were on fire. I mean, it was the best, like I said, it was the best tag team they had in 20 years, if not more. And nobody touched them. And, you know, they just get an idea, and this is what we plan on doing, and let me tell you about McMahon, okay? McMahon Sr., McMahon Jr., rather. McMahon Jr. grew up on his dad's promotion. So you had Bruno, who was like Superman. Bruno could bench 500 pounds. Bruno was a strong man. Bruno So what happened? You had to feed Bruno these monster heavyweights, these huge, huge guys. So they'd bring in Ernie Ladd, they'd bring in Waldo Von Erich, they'd bring in Killer Kowalski, superstar Billy Graham, Ivan Koloff. I mean, powerhouses, okay? So this is what McMahon Jr. grew up on. He grew up on his dad's promotion. So what he sees when he sees dollar signs are big guys, muscular guys. This is what he likes. This is what he knows, okay? So it's almost like fighting yourself when the fans are telling you, push a Daniel Bryan, push a Dean Ambrose, push a Rey Mysterio. This is really, going against, 30 or 40 years of what this guy was weaned on. And, I kind of understand it. I mean, his perception of wrestling or sports entertainment is, comic book heroes, comic book villains, larger than life. So for whatever reason, he doesn't see that in a Cesaro, he doesn't see that in certain people. But when all is said and done, they make it more complicated than it needs to be. Listen to the fans. I think Ambrose could have a great run. He has that Roddy Piper, crazy quality, anything could happen at any second, and I say crazy in a good way. I'm a huge Piper fan. And, but they're gonna eventually put it on Reigns because the decision was made.
Triple H has often said, these are the things that we're looking at, but when push comes to shove, it's Vince's company, and he's going to make the decision that he thinks is best, regardless as to who's there saying, well, you might want to look at it this way, you might want to think of it this way, but ultimately he's going to look at it in the way that he thinks is going to make them succeed, and doesn't always bode well.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what he sees in Reigns. I'm a fan of Reigns. I mean, he's limited, but like I said, the Shield was amazing, and Reigns, every time he walks out there, he gives 110%. Up to his abilities, and the fans who wake up in the morning, they wake up and the first thing they're thinking of is how much they hate John Cena or Roman Reigns. They really might want to start dating or get a job or move out of mom's basement because it's not all that serious, but at the same time, when you go to a WWE house show, for example, it's $25 to $125 a ticket. You might actually want to give the fans what they want. It's not a cheap night out anymore. So WrestleMania, $2,360 for ringside for the first 8 rows or 10 rows or whatever.
Is that what they were going for?
$2,360, something like that. Some ridiculous amount. I mean, face value. I'm not even talking scalper.
Yeah, I was looking at the tickets for the hell of it, but I don't think I'll be able to swing it. But
well, as your special correspondent, I'm assuming you're getting us a pair. You're throwing down the $5K for us, right?
Yeah, if I was a millionaire, I would totally do that.
Yeah. I guess that's no. So,
sorry, Evan, I had one question, and you'd mentioned about ratings being down. Do you think maybe part of it could be having to compete right now head-to-head with Monday Night Football?
Well, they've been on Monday night for days, so nothing's changed. I mean, the football's always been there. They've had Monday Night Football, the whole run. So would it go down since the summer? Sure. But yeah. I think they're concerned about how much it's gone down, Yeah.
And these are SmackDown ratings when SmackDown was good. And I used to joke about it.
SmackDown's basically 2 hours of your life you'll never get back. I haven't watched that in years.
SmackDown was great when Paul Heyman was responsible for a lot of the writing. 6. Back in 03, 04, that's my opinion on it. Hasn't been really the same since.
They had a decent, when I came back to wrestling in 06, they had a decent, they had Batista there and Mysterio.
Kane just went to SmackDown. MVP, Mr. Kennedy, King Booker. So, I mean, that group, and then Edge came shortly thereafter. I thought that group of SmackDown was pretty good. Not as good. I mean, the SmackDown that you're talking about, Mark, was, top notch. But I thought it was pretty good then. They had some compelling shows. Most of it was a ripoff in the McMahon Helmsley era, but
You ever hear when like wrestling journalists use words like interesting and intriguing? You just use compelling. That's like the polite way of saying it's not particularly good, but there were a few good moments. That's what compelling means.
I plead the fifth, sir. I plead the fifth. But I think before we get ready to wrap up here, I think the thing that people gravitate to Ambrose the most for is because they build him and bill him as a guy who's out there, who's different. And that's what people, I think, like about him so much, is like, hey, we're different. We're not, this mold of how people should be. It's kind of the same argument as Daniel Bryan, but, that he's us. We're living, what's the word I'm thinking of? Living through somebody, what's the word?
Vicariously.
Thank you. I had a brain fart there. They're living vicariously through Daniel Bryan, through Rey Mysterio when he got the championship, through Dean Ambrose. These guys that normally wouldn't probably get much of a shot with McMahon in his heyday, now all of a sudden are starting to get a little bit, Ambrose yet to see it, but this, unfortunately, looking at the time, is going to be a conversation we may have to have for another day, like next Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern. Evan, give us some insight, and let's hear what's coming up this week on Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV, which you guys can check out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, MadhouseTV.com and LegendsTVNYC.com, and of course, MEMnetwork.wix.com/home. You can watch it live there too.
We have, as always, one of the most bizarre mixes of guests. We have a Kayani who is a singer who sings yoga and meditation-related songs, sitting on the same couch as a young pop singer, Chloe Collins, sitting on the couch next to Vinny the Guido, who is a pro wrestling manager, sitting next to Zainab Ali, who is a horror blogger. So we're going from horror to yoga on the same couch, and this is what we do on Legends TV. And you can check out all the archives, legendstvnyc.com. And we're taking this all to the stage December 5th at Theater 294 in East Farmingdale, Long Island, where we're going to have 12 acts, hip-hop, R&B, magic, comedy, pro wrestlers. Let's put pro wrestlers in the mix somehow, and that's what we do. So all the information's over there at legendstvnyc.com. But basically bringing back vaudeville for the 21st century. It's a 12-act show for $20, cheap night out. So come on out, meet yours truly.
Sounds like a great time, and you won't meet a character like Evan Ginsberg, I assure you.
Thank you. There's a photo on my Facebook page, by the way, of Len Oddity, who is a wrestler and a sideshow performer, where we have wrestler Frankie Stars carrying him around with a chain through his nose. I mean, legitimately inside, the chain is inside a hole in his nose.
Ow.
So you have to see this one. Standing next to a elegant jazz singer and a poet, no less. So this
Hats
is what
off
we
to
do.
them for playing still with a straight face for sure. But Evan, thank you for taking time out of your night to come on here. It was awesome talking to you again. I missed having these little powwows that we've been having, and get better soon. You got to get better for before your show on Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I wish you guys a lot of luck with the new start with the show, and it's one of the best wrestling radio shows out there, wrestling and more. So support it, folks. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for that, Evan. Hope to have you on next week, sir.
Yeah, I'd love to. As often as I can. I'm happy to. I'm happy to vent and rant. It's very cathartic. Thanks, guys.
Take it easy, Evan.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Alrighty, guys. That was Evan Ginsberg. You guys can check him out. LegendsTVNYC.com, MadhouseTV.com, MEMNetwork.com, or .wix.com, I should say. And you guys check out his show, Legends TV. Now, Mr. Madison.
Yes.
Before we get ready to hit the hay here for the week, what's coming up on the docket for next week's broadcast?
Well, I'm hoping to line up a guest. I don't want to just spill who possibly yet. I think that'll be better set afterwards when you and I get a chance to talk. I'd like to kind of dot some I's, cross some T's.
Sure.
But before we go there any further, I'm also looking to try and maybe share one of my recorded interviews as well. Hoping to have that in a couple of weeks as well. More details about that on the show as they become available. And again, between John and I, we'll have those details out for you. So as far as the show, yep. Personally, as far as I do have an interview that's, if anybody reads therichest.com, I have a 10 burning questions that's been released with Ring of Honor's Rhett Titus, who's one half of the All Night Express alongside Kenny King. Also going to have a interview released with TNA Impact's Pope, D'Angelo De Niro, or known as Elijah Burke as well. He's got some great things going on. Also, those will be listed on therichest.com. I also am part of John Canton. Anybody who's familiar with John Canton and his John Report on TJRWrestling.net. John's a great guy. Also has a podcast, and you can check out my columns there weekly. They appear on Fridays. And anything else wrestling related, we'll keep you posted.
So what this means, guys, is you guys got to head over to Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. You got to like our page, and you will find out the latest information before anybody else if you like that page. So
yes.
That's what that's telling you.
Yeah.
So what are you doing listening to us? You guys could be listening to us on wrestling-news.net and get over to Facebook right now and like us, Facebook.com/Main Event Madness. And you can follow at the Mark Madison and at John MEM Radio.
Follow John, he's a great guy.
Oh, come on, we can't lie to these people. Let's see what other shameless plugs. For any more wrestling news, head over to where we are streaming live right now, wrestling-news.net. Also, MEMnetwork.wix.com/home. We have Wayne's news from there through an RSS feed. So, figured, people checking out podcasts always like wrestling, so figured try to get a little bit of that in there. We got some of Mark's columns that are going to be coming soon, as well as you guys will be able to see who our latest guests were. So, you guys are going to... More stuff are going to be added, and the site will be continuously updated as time goes on. I hope you guys will grow to like the website, make it somewhere where you guys will want to go hang out. Maybe I'll get a chat on there. You guys could talk wrestling and listen to some podcasts. So I'm going to try to get some more podcasts on there as well to make a little bit of a network, hence the MEM network. But I think that's going to do it for us. This first notch in our belt is officially finished. Mark, it was fun. How do you feel after finishing your first show, sir?
I feel like lighting up a cigarette.
Well, hey, more power to you.
And I don't even smoke. So, thanks a lot, John. It's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to the future. It felt really natural, bouncing stuff off of you, and talking with Evan, and then we had the opportunity to talk with James Key again of Smash Wrestling, Looking forward to bringing on more guests, interacting, and please, I'm sure, is there a hashtag where listeners can tweet us out questions to, or things that they'd like to interact with us on?
You know what? I'm actually going to do a couple things. One, I'm going to bring back something that I tried to start doing the last time we were around, and that's going to be our question of the week that I'm going to tweet out on Friday mornings. You guys can tweet that, and then tweet us your response to that, and we'll include your answers on the show. And also use the hashtag MEM let's try this again. Hashtag AskMEM. So, if I could talk without stumbling over myself, it would be amazing, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It's been a long day for you, John.
Yeah, yes it has.
Yes.
But you know what, though? The long day was worth it because things are going in the right direction. Finally. You know what I'm talking about. And when I am able, I will divulge a little bit more information about that in my personal life. But awesome opportunity coming my way, and I'm excited for it. So, until next time, guys, if you guys want to ask us some questions, use the hashtag AskMEM. Follow me on Twitter at JohnMEMRadio, and follow Mark at DMarkMadison. And I will have a question of the week for you guys Friday morning. And Facebook.com/MainEventMadness, you'll find out the latest information on who's going to be on the show. You guys aren't going to want to miss that. Can't believe what I was about to say. But until next time, guys, Lord willing, we will be back with you next Wednesday night. We get to do this little shindig all over again. Mark, again, welcome to the show. It was fun, man, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we can bring this.
Fantastic. You too. So,
Mark's ready for me to shut up because his phone's dying. I'm rambling, which usually is...
I'm being short with my answers.
Which usually is a sign for me to shut up, and for me to play the intro or outro and this. But guys, thank you. Awesome live numbers. You guys are amazing, and we hope to see those numbers continue to go up as time goes on. So we'll see you next week, guys. This is Main Event Madness Radio, Madness Unleashed. For Mark Madison, James Key, Evan Ginsberg, Wayne Daly, I'm John Curry, and we're out. See you next week.
Okay.
The preceding broadcast was an MEM Network exclusive. If you missed a part or all of tonight's show, no problem. Head over to memnetwork.wix.com/home, and there's a complete archive for all of our shows. Also, you can catch an encore presentation Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern on VOCNation.com. Main Event Madness Radio. Madness Unleashed. Have a good one, everybody. So long.